The first signs came as tiny flickers in the sky, almost like shooting stars, but moving in ways that no natural phenomenon should. Civilians in the small towns of South America, North America, Europe, and Asia looked up, pointed, and whispered to each other. Some took videos, uploading them to the networks almost instantly. Scientists initially dismissed the reports, saying they were meteors, satellites, or glitches in radar systems. But then the signals intensified. The flickers became streaks of solid light that hovered and darted impossibly fast, and that's when the governments began to take them seriously. In orbit above Earth, a fleet of alien ships gathered in a pattern that was both deliberate and intimidating. The aliens were confident in their superiority. Their sensors had scanned the planet multiple times over decades. They had measured the military output, the defense technology, the energy signatures of cities and factories. They had concluded that this world was weak, underdeveloped, and defenseless. They assumed they would land on a blue and green globe and crush it within weeks. Their intelligence suggested a primitive civilization, one that would crumble under the pressure of advanced technology and overwhelming force. The lead commander of the alien fleet, a tall being with chitinous armor and segmented limbs, stared down at the planet with a smirk. Their eyes, black and reflective, recorded every detail of the human cities. "No organized military detected," they said to their second-in-command. "Just scattered tribes, hiding in stone buildings. This will be easy." Back on the ground in a small urban area on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, humans continued their daily lives. Children played in the streets, office workers sipped coffee, and cars hummed along highways. Nothing appeared unusual, but beneath the surface, the humans were not unprepared. Every city had individuals who were part of an unspoken network. A group of thinkers, engineers, scientists, and planners who communicated in encrypted channels preparing for contingencies that no other species had ever imagined. When the first alien dropships entered the atmosphere, the city experienced a moment of stunned silence. People stared upward as massive ships broke through clouds, their metal surfaces gleaming like obsidian in the sun. Then came the first shock. The dropships did not behave like traditional invaders. Instead of firing indiscriminately, they hovered and scanned. Beams of light swept across streets searching for resistance. The aliens expected humans to panic and scatter, but humans were unpredictable. They did not run in chaos. Instead, some slipped into underground tunnels. Others took positions in abandoned warehouses and factories. Engineers on rooftops began assembling devices with blinking lights and strange mechanical appendages. Civilians improvised with what they had. Traffic lights, construction cranes, and even personal drones were repurposed as tools of defense. The first encounter was brief, but enough to shock the aliens. A single street, no wider than 20 meters, became a battlefield that the aliens could not control. Humans had positioned themselves at key points, setting traps and directing the aliens into zones that neutralized their technological advantage. Automated drones, controlled by people in hidden command centers, darted in and out, disabling alien sensors with electromagnetic pulses. Explosions rocked the streets as improvised mines detonated, sending chunks of debris into the air. The aliens tried to respond with precision strikes, but they struggled to predict human behavior. Every tactic they used was countered in a way that made no sense to their algorithms. Humans did not follow predictable patterns. They adapted. When one trap failed, another immediately replaced it. They used sound, light, and even fire to confuse the alien sensors, forcing the dropships to make sudden adjustments. From orbit, the alien commander was furious. "They are not organized like a military," they growled, their voice echoing in the metallic chamber of their ship. Yet they resist. They improvise. They think differently. The humans' advantage was not in their weapons, but in their minds. They understood the environment better than the invaders. They used the terrain, the shadows, and even the reflections from buildings to mislead alien targeting systems. Streets became mazes, rooftops became sniper nests. Underground tunnels served as supply lines and escape routes. Every corner of the city had been studied, and every structure was a potential trap. As night fell, the battle intensified. Alien ships, designed for planetary dominance, were forced to retreat from streets filled with fire and obstacles. Humans were not just defending, they were shaping the battlefield itself. They had learned from simulations, from games, from science experiments. They had learned that an opponent who relies solely on technology can be manipulated by unpredictability. Across the globe, similar scenes unfolded. In Tokyo, civilians converted construction cranes into makeshift anti-aircraft weapons. In Paris, engineers used the subway system to trap alien squads. In New York, drones were programmed to create false targets, forcing aliens to waste energy and ammunition. Everywhere, the pattern was the same. Humans, underestimated and misunderstood, became something the aliens could not control. The alien fleet regrouped in the stratosphere, trying to calculate the next move. Their systems hummed and clicked, algorithms racing to account for the chaos they were encountering. But the humans did not fit the models. No simulation had ever predicted such adaptability. Every time the aliens adjusted their tactics, humans had already anticipated or countered it. The first human leader to make a mark was not a general or a soldier. It was a teacher named Elena Ramirez, who had once taught physics in a small school in Cordoba. She had a knack for patterns and an ability to think under pressure. Using a mix of drones, sensor arrays, and improvised explosives, she orchestrated a small team that could disable an entire alien squadron without suffering casualties. Her tactics were not taught in any military academy. They were born of creativity, intuition, and an understanding that unpredictability is a weapon. By the end of the first night, the aliens were forced to retreat. Their ships burned, their squads scattered, and their confidence shattered. They had expected a planet without resistance. Instead, they found a civilization that was chaotic, clever, and relentless. The humans did not celebrate. They had won this skirmish, but they knew the war had just begun. Across the world, command centers buzzed with activity. Communication lines were flooded with updates from every city, every town, every hidden outpost. Humans were coordinating in ways that seemed impossible for their species, creating a network that rivaled any traditional military structure. Yet despite their organization, humans remained human. They argued, they doubted, they made mistakes, but every error was corrected quickly. Every loss taught a lesson. The planet itself seemed to rise in defense, as if every mountain, every river, every street joined the fight. And through it all, humans learned not just to survive, but to exploit their greatest strength, their unpredictability. Meanwhile, the alien commander convened a council aboard the mothership. Their kind had faced countless species, each with armies, fleets, and strategies. Yet here, on Earth, they faced beings who had no formal military yet operated like an organic, self-organizing force. "They have no army," the commander said, almost in disbelief. "And yet, they fight as one. They turn every disadvantage into strength. How is this possible?" One of the younger officers, less experienced, suggested retreat and observation. But the commander shook their head. "No! Retreat is weakness. We underestimated them once. We will not repeat that mistake. We must understand them first. Their strength is not in weapons, not in numbers. It is in their minds." Back on Earth, the humans prepared for the next encounter. They reinforced tunnels, optimized drones, and improved communication networks. No one was in charge, yet everyone acted as part of the same mission. Elena Ramirez walked through the streets, observing her team, giving instructions, correcting mistakes, and always thinking several steps ahead. Her eyes caught a flicker in the distance. Another alien ship approaching. Smaller this time, scouting. She smiled. Humans were ready. The planet was ready, and the aliens would soon learn that no army could match what they had become. As dawn broke, the The cities glimmered with activity. Humans moved through streets, rooftops, and underground passages, invisible yet everywhere. The aliens watched from above, frustrated by their inability to predict or control the battlefield. What they thought would be a simple conquest had become a war of wits, speed, and creativity. By the end of Part 1, the alien commander had one clear thought. They had underestimated the humans. They had assumed weakness, but all they had found was resilience, intelligence, and adaptability beyond their comprehension. The invasion, they realized, would be harder than any war in their history, and for humans this was only the beginning. In cities, towns, and hidden laboratories, humans worked quietly but purposefully. Improvised defenses were tested. Communication networks were encrypted. Drones, vehicles, and even ordinary appliances were converted into tools of defense. There was no traditional chain of command, yet decisions were made, executed, and adapted at lightning speed. The world was no longer just a planet. It had become a living battlefield, alive with ideas, creativity, and determination. And the aliens, who had once thought Earth easy prey, now understood the truth. This was no ordinary planet. This was a planet whose people did not need an army, because the people themselves were the army. The alien fleet, battered and humiliated from the first encounter, hovered above the planet, their metal hulls reflecting the sun like dark mirrors. The commander's segmented limbs tapped against the floor of the mothership in impatience. "They are not like the others," the commander muttered. "They do not act logically. They adapt faster than our algorithms predict. Every move we make is countered." The younger officers, still reeling from the destruction of their squads, attempted to offer solutions. "We could deploy drones en masse," one suggested, "or saturate their cities with targeted strikes. They have no organized army. Our weapons should overwhelm them." The commander shook their head, a movement that sent a faint vibration through the room. "No. Our usual tactics will fail. They are unpredictable, yet organized in ways we cannot measure. They use their environment, their terrain, and even their so-called weaknesses as weapons. We must study them, understand them, or they will destroy us." On Earth, humans did not wait for the aliens to strike again. Across continents, engineers, scientists, and civilians were already at work, turning the previous night's lessons into opportunities. The first step was communication. They had learned that the aliens relied on high-frequency signals to coordinate attacks. In response, humans developed interference networks that scrambled those signals, forcing alien units to operate independently. A squad of hackers in Berlin rerouted alien drone instructions, causing several to turn on each other in confusion. In Sao Paulo, street teams prepared traps designed not for destruction but for delay, using smoke, mirrors, and electromagnetic pulses. In Tokyo, humans had converted subway tunnels into mobile command centers. Engineers rigged maintenance robots to act as surveillance drones, sending encrypted signals to rooftop units and civilian drones. Civilians who had no military training became soldiers by necessity, learning the quickest ways to disable alien technology with tools they had at hand. The aliens attempted a coordinated strike in the American Midwest, assuming humans there would be isolated and easier to overwhelm. Dropships descended silently, expecting an empty landscape, perhaps a few confused humans. Instead, they were met with an invisible network of resistance. Farmers had rigged their equipment to act as traps. Drones darted from barns and silos, and local engineers controlled automated turrets built from repurposed machinery. One alien squad moved into a wheat field, expecting an easy capture. They were stunned when the ground itself seemed alive. Rows of farm machinery rose on mechanical arms, forcing the squad to dodge and retreat. Drones appeared from the sky, small but fast, targeting sensors and weapon systems. Within minutes, the squad was scattered, forced back to their dropships, and unable to achieve their mission. On the other side of the globe, humans were not only defending, they were learning to fight on their own terms. In Paris, engineers had converted subway trains into mobile strike units. A single train, lined with electromagnetic disruptors and improvised explosives, could shut down an alien landing zone in seconds. In New York, volunteers hacked construction cranes to deliver precise mechanical strikes on descending ships. Every city, every town, and even rural areas became a battlefield, tailored by human creativity. Amid the chaos, Elena Ramirez emerged as an unlikely strategist. Though she had no formal military training, her ability to predict patterns and coordinate scattered units proved invaluable. She orchestrated human teams across continents using encrypted signals, repurposed communication networks, and even public broadcasts disguised as entertainment. No alien drone could intercept her messages. No alien sensor could read the patterns she set in motion. One evening, Elena watched a series of live feeds from the Mediterranean coast. Small teams of humans had captured alien drones and reprogrammed them to act as decoys. The drones, originally designed to scout and attack, now flew in intricate patterns over the water, creating false targets and drawing alien fire away from human populations. The aliens attacked the decoys relentlessly, wasting energy and resources, while humans moved freely behind the lines. Elena smiled faintly. It was working. The alien commander, meanwhile, was growing desperate. Their sensors continuously scanned the planet, attempting to locate command centers and key human units. Yet every lead ended in confusion. Humans had created redundant networks, decoy installations, and mobile units that could vanish in moments. Their adaptation was rapid, almost preternatural. Every time the aliens adjusted, the humans were already 2 steps ahead. Frustration spread through the alien ranks. Soldiers who had never known defeat began to fear the humans not because of brute strength, but because of intelligence. "They are nothing like the other species we have conquered," one officer admitted in private. "They fight without an army. Yet everywhere we strike, we are countered." The next major encounter occurred over a sprawling desert region in northern Africa. The aliens deployed massive ground vehicles, heavily armored and bristling with weapons. They expected humans to scatter, to hide, to be overwhelmed by sheer power. But humans had already transformed the desert into a web of obstacles. Drones acted as scouts, detecting every alien movement. Small teams triggered controlled explosions to redirect vehicles into sand traps. Mirrors and reflective surfaces created illusions, making the ground appear flat while hiding deep pits and improvised barriers. The battle was intense. Alien vehicles moved with calculated precision, yet every action was met with human improvisation. Civilians worked alongside engineers, using small-scale explosives, electromagnetic disruptors, and even noise to confuse sensors. For every alien advance, humans countered with something unexpected: a flare of heat, a burst of electricity, or a decoy vehicle filled with automated drones. By the end of the day, the aliens had lost nearly half their deployed units in the region. Vehicles were buried, drones destroyed, soldiers stranded. The planet that they had assumed defenseless had become a labyrinth of danger, and every corner had been designed by human ingenuity. In Europe, similar victories occurred. A small team of scientists in Scandinavia used weather manipulation techniques, controlling small wind and humidity systems, to create fog and static fields that disrupted alien targeting systems. In South America, jungle terrain became a natural trap, with humans using knowledge of the environment to ambush alien squads. Cities, deserts, forests, and mountains. Every landscape became an extension of human strategy. The alien commander convened another council aboard the mothership. This time, there was tension in the air. "Their technology is inferior," the commander said, "yet they continue to outmaneuver us. Every attack fails because they do not act predictably. They use chaos as a weapon." One younger officer dared to speak. "Commander, perhaps we should withdraw and attempt negotiation. We could establish a foothold through diplomacy rather than combat." The commander's response was swift and firm. "No. They will not surrender. They will not yield. We must understand them, but we cannot underestimate them again. Every species we have fought could be broken with force. These humans, they are different. They fight with mind and will, not merely with weapons. Observe them carefully. Every detail matters. Meanwhile, humans continued to escalate. They were no longer just defending cities. They were attacking alien supply lines. Small spacecraft, constructed in secret workshops from repurposed materials, harassed alien transport ships in orbit. Drones flew in complex formations, coordinating attacks that the aliens struggled to predict. Humans captured alien technology and reprogrammed it, turning it against its own creators. Civilians became heroes by necessity. A baker in Milan directed drone movements across rooftops. A farmer in Kansas guided vehicle traps in fields. A teacher in Cairo coordinated teams in urban districts. Every human contribution counted, and every action demonstrated ingenuity that no algorithm could anticipate. The alien fleet's confidence continued to erode. They had prepared for a simple conquest and found chaos, intelligence, and adaptability. Every attack was met with unexpected resistance. Every strategy, no matter how sophisticated, was countered. The humans were not organized in a conventional sense, but they operated as a single adaptive entity, a living network of defense. Elena Ramirez stood in a hidden command hub, watching live feeds of the ongoing battles. Her team had coordinated drone attacks, vehicle traps, and diversionary tactics that forced alien forces into confusion repeatedly. She realized that the humans' greatest strength was not technology or numbers. It was creativity. They did not need massive fleets or armies to fight. Their unpredictability made them unstoppable. By the end of the second week, the aliens had suffered significant losses. Drop ships were grounded, drones destroyed, and soldiers stranded in hostile environments. Their strategy meetings grew more frequent and tense. The humans, meanwhile, continued to adapt, learning from each encounter and improving their tactics. Across the globe, one truth became clear. Humans were not merely surviving. They were learning, evolving, and countering at every level. Cities, towns, deserts, jungles, and mountains became extensions of human strategy. Civilians and engineers, scientists and teachers all contributed to a collective defense that no alien force could fully comprehend. And in the heart of every human effort, there was one constant: resilience. Every failure was a lesson, every loss a motivation, every victory a step forward. The humans did not wait for salvation. They created it with their hands, minds, and courage. The aliens, despite their advanced technology and experience in countless wars, began to understand a terrifying reality. They had not invaded a defenseless planet. They had challenged a species that would not yield, that would not surrender, and that would turn every disadvantage into strength. As night fell on the second week of the invasion, humans continued to operate in silence but with purpose. Streets were quiet, yet alive with hidden activity. Drones hovered unseen. Traps waited in shadow. Engineers fine-tuned their machines. Every city, every town, and every hidden network became a battlefield shaped by human creativity. And above it all, the alien commander knew one undeniable fact. They had underestimated Earth. They had assumed weakness, but all they found was intelligence, adaptability, and courage beyond measure. Humans were not just defending their planet. They were redefining the meaning of war itself. The first major alien assault had failed. The humans had adapted and struck back. The invasion that was supposed to be easy had become a battle for survival, a test of ingenuity, and a war unlike any the galaxy had ever witnessed. In every corner of Earth, one reality became clear. Humans did not need armies. They were the army. And the aliens were about to learn that lesson in full. The alien fleet hovered silently above Earth, but the humans were no longer content to stay on the planet. Over the past weeks, they had studied alien technology, salvaged damaged ships, and reverse-engineered what they could. Small teams of engineers and pilots worked in secret across hidden facilities, mountain bunkers, abandoned factories, and submerged labs, turning civilian vehicles, drones, and satellites into something new. Spacecraft capable of short-range combat and tactical strikes. Elena Ramirez oversaw one of the largest of these operations from a command hub beneath the Andes. Screens flickered with schematics, live feeds, and satellite maps. Teams coordinated across continents using encrypted channels that the aliens could not intercept. Every successful encounter on Earth had taught the humans lessons in tactics, mobility, and improvisation. Now they planned to take those lessons into orbit. Their first mission was not about conquest. It was about disruption. Alien supply ships hovered in low orbit, carrying weapons, soldiers, and raw materials. They moved in predictable patterns, assuming humans lacked the means to intercept them outside the planet's surface. They were wrong. A squadron of modified cargo ships, retrofitted with electromagnetic disruptors and guided drones, ascended from hidden launch facilities in North America, South America, and Asia. Each ship carried only a handful of humans, but each pilot had been trained to operate independently while remaining linked to a global command network. Their instructions were simple: strike, disrupt, and retreat before the aliens could respond effectively. The first attack began over the Pacific Ocean. A human pilot, barely 20 years old, maneuvered a makeshift spacecraft toward a hovering alien transport. The craft was slow compared to the alien vessels, but speed was not the advantage humans relied on. Instead, they used unpredictability. Drones deployed from the ship in random patterns, jamming communications and disabling shields on specific sections of the transport. Explosions rocked the alien hull, sending debris into orbit. The humans retreated before the alien fighters could engage. In Europe, a similar operation targeted a supply chain moving over the Atlantic. Teams coordinated remotely, synchronizing attacks that created confusion in the alien fleet. The humans did not attack head-on. They flanked, misdirected, and lured alien units into areas where improvised weapons could cripple them. Within days, the aliens realized that even in orbit, their technological superiority was not enough. Humans had turned the environment, space itself, into a battlefield. Back on Earth, the command hubs buzzed with activity. Civilians and engineers worked side by side. A mathematician in Cairo calculated optimal drone formations for orbital attacks. A software engineer in Tokyo developed algorithms that allowed civilian satellites to act as interference networks. A retired pilot in Johannesburg trained a new generation of human spacecraft operators, teaching them to combine intuition with strategy. The alien commander watched these developments with growing unease. "They are not content with defense," the commander said to their council. "They are adapting, attacking, and now extending their reach into orbit. Every measure we take is countered by creativity. They do not fight like other species. They fight as one organism, yet remain individual. How is this possible?" Despite their losses, the aliens attempted a coordinated counterattack. Fighter squads descended into Earth's atmosphere, aiming to strike the orbital launch sites. But humans had anticipated this. Each site had decoys, traps, and contingency plans. The alien fighters found themselves lured into zones where electromagnetic pulses disabled their systems. Drones deployed from the ground attacked sensors, while improvised weapons forced the fighters to retreat. The humans had transformed Earth itself into a shield, making every attempt at suppression costly for the aliens. Elena Ramirez observed the battle through live feeds, adjusting strategies in real time. "They are predictable," she muttered, "only because they expect us to act like they do. Let's change the rules." She ordered a new wave of orbital drones to intercept alien communications while human ships engaged in small, erratic movements. The aliens, who relied on coordination and precision, found themselves outmaneuvered again. One of the human pilots, a former drone hobbyist from Brazil, performed a daring maneuver. Using a small spacecraft and a swarm of repurposed drones, they approached a heavily armored alien vessel. The pilot calculated the trajectory of the alien sensors and fired a series of electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the ship's shield generators. The alien vessel tumbled in space, its crew struggling to regain control. The humans did not linger. They retreated into the shadows of Earth's orbit, leaving chaos behind. The aliens could no longer rely on conventional tactics. Their fleet, once confident and precise, was fractured. Supply lines were disrupted, fighters isolated, and communications jammed. Every engagement revealed the same truth. Humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. Their actions were not guided by traditional military strategy but by creativity, intuition, and collaboration across the planet. On Earth, civilians began to understand the scale of their own capability. They had witnessed alien technology up close, learned to manipulate it, and used it to strike back. Engineers in Milan designed orbital drones using parts from commercial satellites. A schoolteacher in Sydney coordinated teams to calculate interception patterns for incoming alien fighters. Even ordinary citizens contributed. Some built camouflage networks to hide launch facilities. Others developed mechanical traps for alien drones. The humans' success did not go unnoticed. Across the galaxy, other observers, distant species who had studied the alien empire, recorded the reports with astonishment. Earth was not merely resisting. It was redefining the concept of warfare. The species had no formal army, yet every human acted as part of a global network capable of offensive and defensive operations. Every action, from the smallest civilian effort to the most daring orbital strike, contributed to a single goal: survival and adaptation. The alien commander convened an emergency council. The room was filled with tension, the usual calm of the command structure replaced with urgency. They are not predictable.
They do not operate within our models. Every countermeasure is met with adaptation.
Every attack we attempt fails or is mitigated. One officer spoke cautiously. Commander, perhaps we need to reconsider our approach. Could they be studied? Could we isolate and contain them rather than attack directly? The commander's response was immediate and harsh. We cannot underestimate them again. Study alone will not protect us. They have proven that they can take our technology and use it against us. They are not merely defending. They are evolving. And if we do not understand them fully, we will lose everything. Meanwhile, humans continued to escalate. They moved beyond defense into precision strikes designed to dismantle alien operations. Small teams attacked alien communications arrays, disabling drones and intercepting supply lines. Engineers developed new forms of propulsion for human spacecraft, allowing them to maneuver unpredictably in orbit. Scientists adapted alien energy sources, creating weapons that could temporarily disable enemy ships without destruction. Elena Ramirez coordinated multiple operations simultaneously, ensuring that human efforts across continents were synchronized without ever being predictable. Chaos is our ally, she told her team. Predictability is theirs. Let's make sure they never know where we will strike next. The aliens attempted another offensive, sending a fleet of armored vessels into the atmosphere above the Sahara. They expected humans to retreat, to scatter, to be overwhelmed by superior numbers. Instead, they found a network of traps, decoys, and human-operated drones. Vehicles became confused, sensors jammed, and ships were forced to retreat again. Every encounter reinforced the humans' principle. Intelligence and adaptability were more powerful than brute strength. The alien commander began to grasp the horrifying truth. Humans did not need conventional forces to fight. They did not need large armies, fleets, or advanced weaponry in the traditional sense. Each human, each improvised machine, and each networked team acted as part of a larger, unpredictable organism. Their strength was collective yet distributed, making it impossible to fully target or suppress. In response, humans expanded their operations. Small spacecraft attacked alien fleets in low orbit while drones and electromagnetic devices disrupted sensors. Civilians continued to innovate, building systems to detect alien movements and relay instructions across continents. Engineers and pilots shared techniques, constantly evolving tactics to stay ahead of the alien response. Even within human society, ordinary citizens became heroes by necessity. A retired mechanic in India modified satellite dishes to act as interference nodes. A student in Canada used coding skills to hack alien software temporarily. Across every continent, humans contributed to a defense network that grew stronger with each engagement. By the end of Part 3, the aliens had suffered heavy losses in orbit and on Earth. Dropships were grounded or destroyed, drones disabled, and soldiers stranded. Every attack revealed the same reality. Humans were not just defending. They were controlling the battlefield in ways the aliens could not predict. The commander, staring at the damage reports, realized a terrifying truth. "They have no army," the commander said quietly, almost in disbelief. "And yet, they operate as an army beyond anything we have ever faced. Every human, every tool, every environment. They use it all. They adapt, they learn, they strike in ways we cannot anticipate." Humans, meanwhile, prepared for the next phase. They had learned from each encounter, each failure, each improvisation. The planet itself, combined with human ingenuity, had become a fortress. And now humanity had reached beyond the planet to challenge the aliens in the very space where their technology had been strongest. Elena Ramirez looked out at the sky, watching human spacecraft disappear into orbit. Her team was ready. Humans had shown that survival depended not on numbers or firepower, but on creativity, adaptability, and determination. The aliens had underestimated them once, and now they would pay for that mistake again and again. Every small victory in orbit echoed across Earth. Civilians felt empowered. Engineers and scientists celebrated new innovations. Entire networks of people, from cities to remote villages, operated in harmony without formal commands, yet always focused on the same goal: protecting their planet and striking where the enemy least expected. By the end of Part 3, the humans had shifted the balance. The aliens no longer controlled the battlefield, whether on Earth or in orbit. The war had become a contest of adaptability, creativity, and courage. And humans had proven that the greatest weapon of all was the one they wielded naturally: their minds, their will, and their refusal to be predictable. The alien fleet, once confident in its superiority, was now fractured, demoralized, and struggling to respond. The humans had turned the tables completely. What had started as a defensive war had become an offensive campaign defined not by force, but by intelligence, ingenuity, and the unpredictable brilliance of a species the galaxy had assumed would fall easily. Humans had reached a new truth. They did not need to mimic alien strategies. They did not need conventional armies. They only needed to be human. And in that, they were unstoppable. The alien commander paced along the bridge of the mothership, its armored feet clanging against the metal floor. Reports streamed in from every sector: losses in orbit, failed strikes on cities, damaged supply lines, and scattered soldiers who had been isolated in hostile environments. The command deck, once a place of supreme confidence, now hummed with tension. The aliens had underestimated humanity. "They are everywhere," a subordinate reported. "We cannot predict their movements. They adapt faster than our systems can calculate." "They are not organized like an army," the commander said, voice cold but tinged with unease. "Yet they fight as one. Every time we strike, they turn our technology against us. Every time we plan, they anticipate. Every mistake we make, they exploit." The council convened to discuss countermeasures, but no plan seemed adequate. The humans were no longer content with defending. They had taken the fight off-planet, disrupted supply chains, and turned Earth's very environment into a weapon. On Earth, humans prepared for the next phase. They had learned that alien strategy relied on predictable supply lines and coordinated attacks, so the humans disrupted them systematically. Engineers in North America modified satellites to intercept communications, while teams in Europe and Asia prepared precision strikes against alien transport hubs in orbit. Every civilian contribution mattered. Farmers, construction workers, pilots, and students all worked as part of a coordinated, planet-wide effort. Elena Ramirez, standing in the Andean command hub, watched multiple displays, maps, orbital schematics, and city grids flickered across the screens. "We will hit them where it hurts," she told her team. "We will dismantle their supply chains, disable their fleets, and force them into retreat. But we will do it without predictable moves. We strike fast, disappear, and let chaos follow." The first coordinated strike began over the Pacific. Human spacecraft, small and highly maneuverable, darted among the alien supply ships. Drones deployed from Earth and satellites created interference zones, disabling shields and jamming targeting systems. Humans struck precise locations on the alien vessels, causing critical failures. The alien ships, designed for overwhelming firepower, could not respond effectively. Simultaneously, teams in Asia struck alien communication hubs in low orbit. Electromagnetic pulses temporarily disabled control arrays, causing drones and small fighter units to malfunction. Alien soldiers, accustomed to precise instructions, were left to improvise, often making mistakes that humans exploited. On the ground, humans were not idle. Streets, deserts, forests, and cities had been transformed into complex battle zones. Every trap, every device, every improvised weapon had been tested and improved. Humans had turned urban areas into mazes, jungles into ambush grounds, and deserts into unpredictable fields of danger. Alien units that had once moved confidently were now forced to tread carefully, never knowing where humans would strike next. One particularly daring strike occurred over the Mediterranean. A squad of human pilots, operating makeshift spacecraft, intercepted an alien transport carrying elite soldiers. Using decoy drones, electronic disruption, and precise maneuvers, the squad disabled the transport's shields and forced it to crash into the sea. The surviving aliens were stranded, their mission failed, their confidence shaken. The alien commander, observing the destruction, realized that the humans had changed the rules of engagement. They were no longer fighting by conventional standards. Each human, each civilian contribution, each improvised device acted as part of a collective organism. The aliens had weapons and fleets, but the humans had intelligence, adaptability, and the element of surprise. In Europe, similar operations unfolded. Engineers in Berlin and Paris deployed modified drones that could disable alien sensors in urban areas. Civilians worked with these teams to create fake signals, decoy targets, and hidden supply routes. The aliens found themselves attacking ghosts, expending energy on threats that did not exist. Every failed attack cost them valuable resources, time, and morale. Elena Ramirez monitored the operations closely. She coordinated teams across continents, ensuring synchronization without predictability. "Let them believe they are in control," she instructed. "Let them waste resources. Let them exhaust themselves. Then we strike where they are weakest." The next major strike occurred over Africa. Alien dropships attempted a rapid assault on a series of human command hubs. But humans had prepared. Small spacecraft, drones, and ground-based teams worked in unison. Electromagnetic pulses disrupted the dropships' targeting systems, while improvised explosives forced them into defensive maneuvers. Drones deployed from hidden ground facilities acted as decoys, leading some alien squads into traps and ambushes. Despite their technological superiority, the aliens struggled to adapt. Their algorithms could not predict human creativity. Their experience in countless wars with other species was meaningless here. Humans did not act according to expectation. They improvised, adapted, and exploited weaknesses that the aliens did not know existed. In South America, a farmer-turned-engineer coordinated a small team to intercept alien supply lines using modified cargo drones. They created zones of confusion in the Amazon rainforest, forcing alien units to slow down, retreat, or risk being trapped. Small civilian teams, some armed with nothing more than improvised devices, turned the jungle into a battlefield that alien soldiers could not navigate. Meanwhile, orbital strikes continued. Human spacecraft, small but nimble, harassed alien ships, forcing them to maneuver constantly. Drones, satellites, and decoy systems created a network of interference that disabled alien shields and sensors. Alien commanders struggled to maintain cohesion, losing ships and soldiers at a rate they had never experienced. The alien commander called an emergency meeting. The council gathered in tense silence. "They are not just defending," the commander said. "They are dismantling our forces systematically. Their numbers are smaller, their weapons less advanced, and yet every action they take inflicts maximum damage. They think differently. They act unpredictably. They are dangerous beyond calculation." One young officer dared to suggest retreat. "Commander, perhaps we should withdraw and regroup? Their methods are unfamiliar, and their adaptability may eventually overcome us." The commander's response was stern. "We cannot withdraw. We underestimated them once. That mistake nearly cost us everything. We study them. We adapt, but we do not retreat. Not yet. They are strong, yes, but they have not yet reached the limits of their ingenuity." On Earth, humans continued to escalate. Networks of civilians, engineers, and pilots coordinated attacks that crossed continents. Supply lines were disrupted, fleets disabled, and alien soldiers trapped. Every victory reinforced the principle that intelligence, creativity, and adaptability could overcome brute force. In North America, a retired engineer repurposed weather control systems to create fog and electrical storms over key alien positions, further disrupting sensors and targeting systems. In Asia, students and civilians coordinated drone swarms to disable alien communications, forcing units to operate independently and making them vulnerable. In Europe, scientists reprogrammed captured alien drones to attack their own fleet. By now, the aliens had suffered significant losses. Their confidence, once absolute, had eroded. Dropships lay destroyed, fighters scattered, and soldiers stranded. Their technology, designed for precision and overwhelming force, was no match for humans who could anticipate, improvise, and strike unpredictably. Elena Ramirez observed a live feed showing alien ships retreating from Earth's orbit. Her team had managed to disable critical systems on 3 transport ships and forced the remaining units to scatter. The humans had struck hard, fast, and without warning. They had turned the battle in their favor, not by power alone, but by thinking differently. The alien commander, reviewing the reports, realized a terrifying truth. Earth did not have an army. And yet, every human acted as part of a network that could control the battlefield, disrupt supply lines, and defeat superior forces. Their ingenuity and adaptability had turned the tables completely. The humans, meanwhile, prepared for the next phase. They had learned from every engagement, from every failure, from every improvisation. The planet itself had become a fortress. Every city, desert, forest, and mountain acted as a natural defense, amplified by human ingenuity. Orbital attacks had shown that humans could extend this defense beyond the planet, controlling the battlefield even in space. Morale among humans was high. Civilians, engineers, scientists, and pilots all understood that they were contributing to something greater than themselves. Every drone, every improvised weapon, every clever maneuver was part of a larger strategy: survival and victory through intelligence, adaptability, and cooperation. By the end of Part 4, the alien fleet had fractured. Soldiers were demoralized, ships scattered, and communication disrupted. Humans had demonstrated that an army was not necessary to defend a planet. Intelligence, creativity, and the willingness to adapt were enough. Elena Ramirez looked at her team, proud but vigilant. They had won battles, disrupted alien plans, and proven their ingenuity. But the war was not over. The aliens would regroup, adapt, and strike again. Humans had to remain unpredictable, constantly evolving and ready to strike wherever the enemy was weakest. Across the globe, one truth became clear. Humanity had turned the invasion into a disaster for the aliens. They had taken the fight from defense to offense, dismantling supply chains, disrupting fleets, and exploiting weaknesses at every level. The planet that had seemed defenseless was now the most dangerous challenge the aliens had ever faced. And in the heart of it all, humans understood a principle stronger than any weapon. They did not need armies. They were the army. Their minds, creativity, and adaptability were the ultimate weapons. The aliens had learned this lesson too late. By the time the sun set on the 4th week of the conflict, Earth was more than a planet under siege. It was a living fortress, guided by the ingenuity and determination of its people. The aliens could strike, maneuver, and calculate all they wanted, but humanity had redefined the rules of war itself. The alien commander watched the planet below, reflecting on the devastating reality. "They have no army," the commander admitted. "And yet they operate as one. They turned chaos into advantage. They adapt, improvise, and strike where we are weakest. This is unlike any species we have ever faced." Humans, meanwhile, prepared for the final stage of the conflict. They had learned, adapted, and extended their influence beyond Earth. The next encounters would determine the ultimate balance of power. But one fact remained certain. The humans were no longer just defending. They were leading, innovating, and proving that the greatest strength of all was the one that the aliens had underestimated: the human mind. The alien commander stood silently on the bridge of the mothership, staring at the glowing blue and green sphere below. Earth, the planet they had assumed was primitive, weak, and defenseless, the planet they had believed they could conquer with ease. Every calculation, every plan, every expectation had failed. And now, after weeks of relentless engagement, the truth had become undeniable. Humans were something entirely different. They are everywhere, the commander murmured. The voice of a subordinate broke the silence. "We cannot anticipate them. Every move we make is countered. Every fleet we deploy is intercepted or destroyed. They are not predictable." "They have no army," the commander admitted almost to themselves. "And yet they fight as if the entire planet were a single organism." Across Earth, humans were preparing for the final phase. They had learned from every skirmish, every orbital attack, every alien failure. Every city, every rural area, and every hidden facility was now a coordinated part of a planetary network. But humans had learned something else as well. Victory required not only defense, but action. The aliens would not leave voluntarily. To end this conflict, humans would have to strike decisively. Elena Ramirez stood in the Andean command hub, her eyes moving across multiple screens. Satellite feeds, drone positions, orbital schematics, and battlefield maps flickered across the displays. Her team was ready. Civilians and engineers, scientists and pilots all contributed in synchronized, unpredictable ways. The humans had created a web of defenses and counterattacks so intricate that no alien algorithm could predict it, no fleet could overcome it, and no soldier could survive without constant adaptation. The plan was bold. Humanity would attack the aliens' remaining supply lines, disrupt their fleet in orbit, and force them to retreat. But it would not be a single strike. It would be dozens of small, coordinated operations, happening simultaneously across the planet and in space. Each attack was designed to be unpredictable, using ingenuity rather than sheer firepower. In North America, teams of engineers and civilians prepared orbital drones designed to mimic the movements of alien ships, drawing enemy fire into traps. They had learned from previous encounters that confusion was a human weapon. Meanwhile, modified cargo ships retrofitted for combat waited at hidden launch sites. Pilots, many of them former civilians, were trained to operate independently while remaining part of a larger network. In Europe, urban centers became launch points for small orbital strikes. Drones and human-operated machines created interference zones that could disable shields, sensors, and targeting systems. Engineers used captured alien technology to create electromagnetic pulses, temporarily neutralizing entire fleets. Civilians contributed by monitoring communications, creating decoys and directing small tactical teams. In Africa and South America, forests, deserts, and rural areas became unpredictable traps. Alien squads attempting to regroup or reinforce their units found themselves ambushed by drones, improvised explosives, and coordinated civilian teams. Every move they made was observed, analyzed, and countered. Humans had learned that in war, intelligence and adaptability were far more powerful than brute force. The first wave of orbital strikes began. Modified human spacecraft darted between alien ships, releasing swarms of drones that disabled key systems. Electromagnetic pulses caused shields to flicker and fail. Alien soldiers struggled to respond, their targeting systems jammed, their coordination disrupted. Every human move was deliberate, yet unpredictable, a combination of improvisation, calculation, and intuition. On the ground, humans coordinated simultaneous attacks. Cities became labyrinths of traps, forests ambush grounds, deserts chaotic zones where alien vehicles became bogged down or destroyed. Civilians and engineers worked together seamlessly. Drivers diverted alien units into prepared zones. Drones acted as eyes in the sky, constantly relaying information to teams below. Even ordinary tools, construction cranes, communication towers, and vehicles were transformed into weapons of ingenuity. In South America, a small team intercepted an alien dropship attempting to evacuate injured soldiers. Using a combination of decoy drones, improvised explosives, and careful timing, they disabled the ship and forced the remaining soldiers to surrender. Across the world, similar victories unfolded. Alien units, once confident and precise, found themselves unable to adapt to human unpredictability. Every attack met with resistance that was clever, coordinated, and impossible to anticipate. Elena Ramirez monitored the progress in real time. She watched as human pilots maneuvered spacecraft, drones disabled alien systems, and teams on the ground executed traps perfectly timed with orbital strikes. Every operation was independent, yet interconnected, creating a web of chaos for the alien fleet. "They think they are in control," she said to her team. "Let them fight ghosts. Let them chase shadows. Our true strength is intelligence. Our power is creativity." The aliens were disoriented. Their fleets, once precise and coordinated, were scattered. Soldiers stranded in orbit and on the planet struggled to survive. Supplies were lost, ships disabled, and morale shattered. The commander tried to maintain order, issuing commands and deploying reinforcements, but every action was countered with unpredictable human ingenuity. In Asia, a particularly daring maneuver unfolded. A team of human pilots used captured alien ships to infiltrate a fleet hub, releasing drones that disabled communication arrays. Alien ships turned on one another in confusion, unable to distinguish friend from foe. The humans did not need overwhelming firepower. Their intelligence and strategy were enough to dismantle entire units without a single traditional army formation. Across the globe, humans demonstrated a simple but devastating principle. Adaptability, intelligence, and creativity could defeat any force. Civilians turned engineers, students became strategists, and scientists became tactical commanders. Every individual contributed to a planetary-scale operation. Without formal hierarchy, humanity had become an organism, a single entity moving in countless unpredictable ways, using every skill, every environment, and every tool as a weapon. The alien commander, watching these events unfold, realized the full horror of the situation. "They have no army," the commander said aloud, voice trembling. "And yet, they operate as one. Every human, every device, every environment is a weapon. They are unstoppable." Despite their technological superiority, the aliens could not adapt fast enough. Their sensors failed to detect hidden traps. Their fleets were forced into chaotic retreats. Their soldiers were trapped by clever maneuvers they could not anticipate. Every attempt at control ended in failure, while human ingenuity continued to rise. The final strikes began in coordinated waves. Small human spacecraft attacked the remaining alien ships in orbit, while teams on the ground disabled orbital launch facilities, communication hubs, and supply lines. Drones interfered with targeting systems, while improvised weapons disrupted alien soldiers. The humans moved unpredictably, like a living storm, and every attack inflicted damage far beyond the numbers they possessed. In Europe, a network of civilians guided drone swarms across cities, turning rooftops, streets, and subway systems into weapon zones. The aliens, unable to distinguish real threats from decoys, suffered massive losses. In Africa, forests became ambush grounds where alien vehicles were trapped or destroyed. In South America, rivers, valleys, and mountains became natural fortresses, amplified by human tactics. By the time the final orbital assault began, the aliens were fractured, demoralized, and desperate. Ships were stranded, soldiers isolated, and communication lines destroyed. Every advantage they had relied on, technology, numbers, coordination, had been rendered useless by human creativity and intelligence. Elena Ramirez watched as the last alien ships attempted to retreat. "They thought they could conquer us," she said softly. "They thought we were weak. They thought we had no army. And yet, we are the army they cannot defeat." In the sky above Earth, alien ships broke formation and fled, scattered across the void. Their morale was broken, their strategy in ruins, their confidence shattered. Humans had turned the invasion into a disaster for the aliens, not through superior technology or numbers, but through ingenuity, creativity, and adaptability. Across the planet, civilians cheered. Engineers and scientists celebrated. Pilots and teams on the ground watched as their collective efforts turned chaos into victory. Humanity had proven that they did not need an army to defend their world. They had proven that intelligence, creativity, and adaptability were more powerful than any weapon. The alien commander, finally acknowledging defeat, broadcast a message to their species. "Do not underestimate humans. They have no army. And yet, they are an army unlike any we have faced. Every individual, every tool, every environment, they use it all. They are unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. This planet cannot be conquered. They have won." On Earth, the people looked to the stars not with fear, but with determination. They had survived, adapted, and fought back against a technologically superior species. They had proven that the strength of humanity lay not in weapons or numbers, but in the mind, the will, and the courage to act differently, unpredictably, and creatively. Elena Ramirez stood among her team in the Andean hub, watching the final signals of alien retreat fade into the void. "We did it," she said quietly. "We survived. And we have shown the galaxy what it means to be human." In the weeks following the alien retreat, humans studied the captured technology, learning and adapting further. They built better communication networks, improved spacecraft, and strengthened planetary defenses. But they also understood that their greatest weapon had always been their creativity and adaptability. Weapons could be rebuilt, fleets replaced, but the human mind, the ability to think, improvise, and adapt was unmatched. Across the globe, people returned to their lives, but changed. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had discovered that their greatest strength was themselves, united not by hierarchy or structure, but by intelligence, courage, and determination. And the alien species, once arrogant in their belief of superiority, carried the lesson across the galaxy. Humans have no army. And yet, every human is part of an army unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. The final truth was simple. Earth was safe. Humans had proven themselves. They had survived invasion, turned defense into offense, and shown that ingenuity, adaptability, and courage were the ultimate weapons. The planet no longer needed soldiers. Humanity itself was the army. And in the quiet that followed, Elena Ramirez looked to the sky, knowing that Earth had changed forever. Not because of technology, not because of force, but because of the unyielding spirit of its people. Humanity had won. Humanity had become the unstoppable army the galaxy would never forget. Creían que la Tierra no tenía ejército. Tenían razón. Era peor que un ejército.